All right, we're back with Mr. Electric, Pat Myers. Okay, we're walking through the barn and we're just stopping and talking. So here's one of the things we found on our first walk and stop.
So we've got an area here, looks like a feed room. This is kind of a feed area. All right, so we got a couple things. Up here in the rafters, we notice we got Romex wire, which is generally is used for residential use only, inside your walls in your house. And it's installed outside, or what we are gonna consider a damp location. It's definitely not meant for this location. And this is a perfect example of why. I mean, no matter how clean you keep your barn, whatever the case is, there's always opportunity for, squirrels or mice or things to get in and chew on the wire. And that's why we always have our wire in conduit, because that's that next level of protection. They can bite on it, they can try their hardest, but they're not gonna get in there. With Romex wire, it's just a coating of plastic around the wires, and they have full access to it. They can just gnaw on it till their heart's content. So it's one of those things that when we see it, that's immediately something we want to address, to get covered up, to get sealed up so that it's installed correctly.
So in the house, how do we prevent rodents? I guess you guys should put it in something, because rodents get into the walls.
Into the walls too. So that's, there's always that chance.
Right.
That can happen. We always suggest that people have a pest control person. They're putting things in place. If they hear something, say something. It's always trying to keep the maintenance on the property up so that you don't have those problems. You always want to, like I said, have a pest control guy. If you hear something, call them, because we want to get ahead of those problems. Because once they get in and start feasting, it's like a buffet for them. They're just going to keep eating.
See, I didn't even think about that. Like rodents, or hear something, squirrels, to think, I need to be worried about my electricity. That's a huge tip.
It's a huge thing, and people think, I take care of, I have a pest control guy for bugs, which is great. We need it in Florida. It's something we need. But we also need to make sure we're keeping those other pests out of the house, because they can do some damage. And like I said, once they get going, they can cause a lot of damage to the electrical system. Not to mention, they're putting you in danger of causing a fire, because that electrical equipment is damaged at that point. So
great tip.
Important.
Great tip. All right, let's go keep walking.
Let's keep walking. All right, let's take a look. Okay, let's take a look. So, it's a good brand. It's the right type of panel for this location. This is actually a climate controlled area. It's completely enclosed. So this is the right type of panel. If you have an outdoor area with a panel, that's totally okay, but we want to make sure it is a weather rated panel. This is installed correctly. It's flush with the wall. It's a square D. We call it a Homeline style panel. Great brand. All the brands match in here. Looks like you don't have much load for what the barn is, and we got 100 amps out here. So for a barn this size, perfect. This is exactly what you want, and it's the label. Everything is labeled correctly. It's nice and clear, so at any moment, any electrician can walk in and take a look and say, okay, if there's a problem, I'm going to take a look and be able to see where these circuits go. So super important, not just for the owners, but for the people who are doing maintenance on the property as well, to see a panel done like this. That's a huge plus.
Good.
So
yay,
good shape. Good shape, yeah.
Now, would you test that if you were in to inspect it, to make sure all the things are up to specs?
So generally what we do when we come in and we've gone through all of our regular stuff, what we generally do is pull the panel cover and look at all the connections, make sure all the connections are tight. And then we take an amp reading on the whole system. We'll turn on all the lights, all the fans, all the things that you use during normal operation. And our electrical meter, we can clamp on the main feeds, and it'll tell us how much it's drawing. just during regular operations. So we're making sure that you're not in danger of exceeding that, or do you need to upgrade a little bit, or are you in good shape? Most times with a barn this size, 100 amps is going to be just fine because you're not using everything all the time. It's kind of, you may use like the laundry room for a couple hours and then that load drops off. You may use the fans during the day but not at night, and the lights aren't on all the time. So it kind of balances itself out. So
good to know.
A on the panel here.
Good.
Looking good.
Bathroom.
All right.
We got one outlet.
Okay, yeah. All right, so here's an important tip. So
we're in the bathroom together, Pat.
We're in the bathroom, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
This is important though, right?
We're getting some business done now. Here we go. So there is a GFCI outlet in this bathroom. The important thing, and a lot of people don't realize that just like most pieces of equipment, it needs to be tested. And realistically, our manufacturers tell us we're supposed to test it every month. Now, most people don't test it every month. But if you own a facility like this and you see a GFCI outlet and you walk by it, just test it out. And the easiest way to test it is there's a test button and a reset button. You press that test button, it should click to the off position. You hit the reset button. If it resets, it's in good shape. It's running the way it should. If you hit the test button and nothing happens when you go to reset it, then it's probably time to replace it.
All right, all you, because you're the professional.
Here we go. We're gonna hit the test button. That's a good trip. Reset, and you see we have a little indicator light here too that tells us it's on right now, it's off, it's on. The tricky part about these things is they normally fail in the on position. So that outlet should be protecting other outlets down the line. And if it fails in the on position, those other outlets will continue to work. You may not know that that outlet's broken until you go ahead and test it. So when you test it and it doesn't reset, it may look like you have protection, but you're not.
So you need to replace it.
So it's time to replace it.
Call Mr. Electric.
Pat Myers Electric.
There
Give
you
it a
go.
call. Yeah.
All right, let's head it to the back of the barn.
Let's look.
All right, we've gone to the back of the barn. We have an outlet. We have an RV hookup for where I live in my trailer. So,
okay.
Tell me what you see. What you're gonna tell us?
So we have this is a standard 30 amp RV outlet. The first thing I noticed, the cover's missing. We want to make sure these covers are called in-use covers because that's exactly what they're meant for. They're meant to be able to be closed while it's in use, while you have something plugged into it. Now we know we talked about extension cords, but we have this cord here for the RV. This cord is actually UL listed for this use. So it's okay to have this. They've actually meant it to be heavy duty. It's built big enough to support the load, and most times a little bit over, so that it's taken care of. It's meant to be left outside. It's meant for this use. So I'm not concerned with this as much. We do want to get a cover on this to make sure that no rain's getting in while it's plugged in, because we get rain here in Florida. So making sure this is all covered up. The other thing I noticed, this is what that cover looks like. This in-use cover looks like. So it's covered. However, we're in an outdoor location and we have a standard outlet in place.
Whoops.
Yeah, this should be a GFCI so that we can make sure that if water does get into this circuit, no one's in danger of getting hurt.
We got it in the bathroom, but we don't have it out here.
Right.
Okay.
So this is what we consider a damp or a wet location. So we always want to have GFCI protection in those places.
All right. What about what I spend extra money on to have one of these?
A surge protector?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. We have a lot of storms in Florida, and it's not just storms. It can be anything. A surge can come directly from the power company. It can come from a storm. It can come from multiple different ways. So my view on it is that there's never enough surge protection. You always want to protect your property. You want to protect your equipment. So if you have surge protection, that's always a plus. It's now also a code for residential homes to have surge protection in their panels. You have to have it. So it's one of the things that is put in place by our code books to make sure that people's equipment in their property is safe. And realistically, you should be doing that in your barn too, because it's the same thing.
Right.
We have equipment, we have barns, we have fly spray systems. We got, if you got a hot walker, whatever you have, you want to make sure you've spent good money on that to make sure your horses are taken care of. You want to make sure you're taking care of those products.
And then how long can I make this to my trailer? I know somebody told me, I said, well, shoot, I can park my trailer anywhere. I'll just keep running cord.
I mean, you can. You can do it. We have to always take into consideration voltage drop. So the further away you get from the source where that power is coming from, your voltage drops down and drops down and drops down. So you want to make sure that you're either, making the wire size larger so you can handle more voltage or more power, or you need to keep it closer. So the closer it is to the source, the better off you be. You get a cleaner power that way.
Very good. All right. Well, did some RV stuff. We could probably do more, but hey, we're at the barn. Hopefully that will help with you guys. Thanks again for Pat Myers Electric and Pat for coming out. We appreciate you.
Always a pleasure.
And we'll see you on next time.